Doing business internationally can be risky business. Along with the credit risks, there can be non-credit risks of which exporters should be aware. We've put together a series of small videos with tips to help you navigate the international markets. So we're going to talk today about small and medium-sized enterprises and how they should be understanding their own environmental and social risks and impacts, or how they should be thinking about the people that they're selling to or the supply chains that they're part of. Now, I'm going to come at this from the direction of the IFC performance standards at first, because many financial institutions use these as a set of expectations for their private sector clients. But what I like about them is that they show the kinds of expectations that those financial institutions have of their clients.
At EDC, the performance standards are most readily apparent in our approach to project risk. We have an environmental and social risk management policy, and they're entrenched in there, and they're also spoken to in our overarching OECD commitments under the common approaches. So most people are familiar with how we apply them to a project. Someone's building something. But broadly, when we're looking at the majority of our customers, which is finance and insurance and export credit type work, we are using the guidance and the standards to help us understand what our customers may be facing in the market. First, we look at, if it's a Canadian exporter, while we're deferring to the Canadian regulations, the performance standards provide essentially a checklist of things you would look for in terms of, do you have a way to manage your environmental effluents and emissions at your factory in Calgary? And so we'd go through and just think about that. It may generate some questions we might ask an exporter. On the other end of the equation, where the exporter's looking at their buyer, we will look at the buyer from the perspective of what sort of elements of that buyer's operations could pose an issue to either our customer or tangentially to EDC as the lender or the insurer. What are questions we should be looking and asking our exporter and maybe even their buyer? And so the standards are a great package that way in terms of providing an overarching framework to think about the issues that our customers and lenders need to be thinking about: environment, social, people.
So if I'm an exporter and I'm hearing about these, I'm probably thinking, these expectations seem pretty high. In the past, I never really had to think about my buyer or whose supply chain I am part of. That being said, I'm often talking about how I provide a particularly critical component or equipment to large projects around the world. What are your top tips for how I should approach these things?
There is opportunity sometimes for incremental change, improvement. There is sometimes an honest and a genuine interest among producers in different markets for international good practice as well. They might not have access to things that have become more standard in other countries, and so there is sometimes a genuine interest, and that can be a very rewarding type of relationship.
The times have changed, and your partner, your lender in business, has expectations in terms of your awareness of your customers, because the risk of your business is being co-shared by your lender, and in our case EDC. And we need to understand who the buyers are. In blunt terms, if you're a supplier of equipment into a sector where there's known issues, or your customer is in the press because they have violated environmental laws or have had lots of labor issues or poor standards, that will be an issue for us or any lender. And the performance standards are a convenient tool to help you kind of understand what the risks are, or what to look for, and what questions you may ask, because your lender will be asking, what do you know about the buyer? Because we understand that there's an issue in this country, in that sector. Are you aware that this buyer has violations against their performance? Because we want to understand that you understand it, and that you've had that conversation potentially with the buyer, or at least understood the risk that you're getting into, so you can explain it to us.